Yeah guys, so here we go. What I'm using today is basically an oil-based block. It's a regular oil-based block, so I'm going to pour some into my mixing cup, and then afterwards I'll be using some of the oil-based paint thinner. I'll be applying a moderate amount, but it's all up to you on how much you add. I cannot tell you exactly what will work best for you, but I find that just a few drops works perfectly for me. So just mess around with it, play with it, and see what works best for you. But if you add too much thinner, it's gonna splatter all over the place, so just be very cautious with that. So today, like I say, I'm going to be using my Vega 2000, and I have my little color cup on here on which I'm going to pour my paint in. And as far as pressure, I recommend using a high pressure if you're going to be using this oil-based block, or I should say any other color of the oil base. I am currently working at about 75 psi, so I'm really blasting the paint out onto this wooden surface. And just in case you've never worked with the oil is very nice. It's good for mural work, anything on walls, and I like it. It holds well and it lasts a very long time. And the black is nice, and all of the oil colors have very good coverage as well, so you could experiment with those, with the oil colors, and see how it works for you. But I really love the oils. Like you see, this black is flowing very nice, and also I'm not getting much of overspray, as you can tell, and I'm working on a non-absorbent surface. So, and like I said, the pressure is really high. I'm really blasting this paint out onto the wood. Like I say, 75 psi is what I'm working at. And if you have airbrushed before, you'll know that you get a lot of tip dry when you're working with airbrush paint. So yeah, that's one thing I do like about the oil base, is you don't have to worry much about overspray and tip dry. You don't get, to be honest, when you're working with the oil, you rarely get tip dry at all. But sometimes the paint do end up in the mixing cup. So like, let's say you have it sitting there for a few minutes, the paint will tend to harden up a bit. So it's very important when your color cup run out. What I do is I use a little bit of the paint thinner. I pour some into my color cup and I just give it a back flush, just to kind of thin it out and make sure my airbrush is clean, so when I load up again. But as you can see how I'm moving, guys, nice fast movements, making these movements with confidence. I'm not trying to be scared or anything like that. You just have to really be one with the airbrush and really have good control. But yeah, just take your time, work whatever pace works best for you. I've been airbrushing for quite a while, so I can pretty much handle it, as you can see. So I'm just making these lines very fluent, and you don't have to do a line at one pass. You can slowly just mimic the line, but it does require a bit of skill. So I guess you'll have to do a lot of practice with that. But if you don't have an airbrush, maybe you don't have an airbrush or anything, you can just use a paintbrush. I've used paintbrush before. It just takes a bit more time with the paintbrush, but you can use a paintbrush just in case if you don't have an airbrush or you have never airbrushed before. So yeah, but like you can tell, slowly mimicking the shapes, the outside shapes, and then I fill in. See how I'm doing the movement? I'm trying to be nice and confident, and I'm moving nice and fast. I'm really trying to keep my hand nice and steady, guys. I want these lines to be as straight and even as possible. So in order to be even, you have to be nicely focused and fast movements. You have to be fast with it. So just keep, focus hard and just make the move, guys. Look at one point. Say you set point A and point B. like you can see, and you just keep working it, guys. Keep going back over it. Take your time. I don't know what speed works best for you, but you'll have to figure that out for yourself. I'm just taking my black. I just, like I said, just do a little outlining, and then I do little small portions at a time, and then I outline and then I fill in the middle areas. That's usually my approach for airbrushing. But guys, I must say, you need to try the black oil paint. It works perfectly with the airbrush, and it lasts a very long time outside exposed to the weather. And like I say, it flows very nicely out the airbrush, and it has great coverage. Like I say, guys, if you haven't airbrushed before, I know I may be making this look easy. It does take a lot of practice to get where I'm at, and it also requires great control over the airbrush. So right now you can see I'm trying to get on to the last letter of the word relax, and yeah, like I say, you just keep outlining. I usually outline an edge, like I usually cut out small portions at a time, as you can tell how I approach it. And I try not to blast the paint too much, because sometimes you do get that muddy overspray look on the outside edges. So I try to use as thin as lines as possible, and I try to slowly fill in the areas. It's very easy to allow too much paint to come out at once, and it kind of muddies up the outer edge of the letter, so just be careful with that. Like I say, guys, if you haven't used an airbrush before, maybe you don't have experience, you can always just use a paintbrush and do this. The same thing applies basically. So just filling in the last letter here, and yeah, I really hope the video helped, guys, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy the video, show me some support by dropping a like on this video. If you have any questions, you can drop a comment as well. And thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.